I was standing in my son's driveway, holding a birthday present for my 3-year-old granddaughter Emma, when my daughter-in-law Vanessa blocked the front door and said, "We need to establish some ground rules, Linda. You can visit once a year, maybe twice if we're feeling generous, but only if you bring $5,000 each time. Think of it as an admission fee to see your granddaughter." She said it with a smile, like she was doing me a favor, like she was offering me a reasonable business arrangement instead of putting a price tag on my relationship with my own flesh and blood. Behind her, I could hear Emma calling, "Grandma! Grandma!" and my son Daniel saying nothing, doing nothing, just standing there like his wife hadn't just turned his mother into a customer who had to pay for the privilege of loving her grandchild. The birthday present, a wooden rocking horse I'd spent 3 weeks refinishing in my garage, suddenly felt heavy in my hands. Not because of its weight, but because I realized I'd been carrying the burden of their entitlement for far too long. My name is Linda Morrison. I'm 67 years old, and this is the story of how I learned that some people will sell anything, even family, for the right price, and how refusing to pay that price was the best investment I ever made. Daniel is my only son. I raised him alone after his father, my husband Tom, died in a construction accident when Daniel was 8 years old. Tom's death left me with $175,000 in life insurance, a mortgage, and a boy to raise on my salary as a dental office manager. I worked 45 hours a week, attended every one of Daniel's school events, saved every dollar I could, and put him through state college with a combination of scholarships, my savings, and my willingness to eat ramen 3 nights a week so he wouldn't graduate with debt. Daniel became a financial analyst making $98,000 a year. I was so proud. He married Vanessa 4 years ago, a woman who worked in luxury real estate and made around $120,000 in commissions during good years. Together, they should have been comfortable. They should have been thriving. Instead, they were drowning in lifestyle inflation and convinced that my widow's resources were their safety net. The financial requests started immediately after the wedding. "Mom, we need $8,000 for a down payment on a bigger apartment. Vanessa says we need more space before we start a family." I gave them $8,000 from Tom's life insurance money. "Mom, can you loan us $12,000? Vanessa's commissions are down and we can't make our car payments." I gave them $12,000. "Mom, Vanessa's pregnant and we need to buy baby furniture. Can you help with $4,500? I bought the furniture myself, assembled it in their nursery, threw them a baby shower that cost me another $200. When Emma was born 3 years ago, I thought things would get better. I thought becoming parents would mature them, teach them responsibility, make them understand the sacrifices parents make. Instead, it got worse, so much worse. "Mom, daycare costs $1,800 a month and we can't afford it. Can you help?" I paid for 6 months of daycare, $2,800. "Mom, Emma needs new clothes every season because she's growing so fast." I bought the clothes. "Mom, we need a bigger car for the baby." I co-signed their car loan for $32,000 because their credit scores were too low to qualify a loan. "Mom, can you watch Emma 3 days a week? Daycare is so expensive." I watched Emma 3 days a week, unpaid, for 2 years while working part-time at the dental office. I kept track. Over 4 years, I gave Daniel and Vanessa $73,300. I also provided $18,120 worth of free childcare at market rates, though I never thought of it in those terms at the time. I thought of it as love, as helping my son, as being the grandmother I wished I'd had. But to Vanessa, I was something else entirely. I was a resource to be exploited, managed, and monetized. The first major red flag came when Emma turned 2. I'd been watching her 3 days a week for a year, arriving at 7:30 a.m. and staying until 6 p.m. Vanessa would come home, barely thank me, and immediately critique everything I'd done. "Emma's wearing the wrong outfit. I had something specific planned. You gave her too many snacks. We're trying to establish healthy eating habits. She's been watching too much TV. We limit screen time." One evening I gently said, "Vanessa, I'm doing my best. Taking care of a toddler for 10 hours is exhausting at my age." She looked at me with cold calculation. "Linda, if you can't handle it, we can hire someone. Of course, that would cost us $25 an hour, which we don't have because you've been helping. instead of contributing financially in ways that would actually let us afford professional childcare. The logic was so twisted, it took my breath away. I'd given them tens of thousands of dollars and provided free childcare, but somehow I was the problem because my free labor wasn't worth as much as the money they could have hired someone with. I should have walked away then. But Emma was calling me Gamma and reaching for me with her tiny hands, and I couldn't bear to lose her. The second red flag came 6 months later when Daniel sat me down and said, "Mom, Vanessa and I have been talking. We appreciate everything you've done, but we need to establish some boundaries. You can't just drop by whenever you want anymore. You need to call first and get permission. I understand wanting notice," I said carefully, "but Emma is my granddaughter. I'd like to see her regularly." "Define regularly," Vanessa said, appearing from the kitchen with a notepad, like this was a business meeting. "Maybe once a week? For Sunday dinner?" Vanessa made a note. "We can probably accommodate twice a month. But you need to understand, Linda, that our time is valuable. If you want more frequent access to Emma, we need to discuss compensation." Compensation? The word felt foreign in the context of family. For our time, for Emma's time, for the disruption to our schedule. Hosting costs money, food, preparation, cleanup. If you want to see Emma more often, you need to contribute proportionally. Daniel said nothing, just sat there looking uncomfortable but not defending me, not stopping his wife from putting a price tag on my relationship with my granddaughter. I left that conversation shaken, but told myself Vanessa was just stressed, just protective, just adjusting to motherhood. I made excuses for her because the alternative, accepting that my son had married someone who saw his mother as a transaction, was too painful. For the next 6 months, I saw Emma twice a month. I always brought gifts, groceries, or money, not because Vanessa explicitly demanded it every time, but because the expectation hung in the air. If I showed up empty-handed, Vanessa's welcome was noticeably colder. Emma got less time with me. The visits were shorter. I was being trained like a dog. Bring tribute, get access. Come empty-handed, get rejected. Then came Emma's 3rd birthday. I'd spent 3 weeks in my garage refinishing a vintage wooden rocking horse I'd found at an estate sale. It was beautiful, hand-carved, painted in soft pastels, the kind of heirloom toy that children treasure and adults remember forever. I'd put hours into sanding, painting, sealing, adding a cushioned seat. It was a labor of love, something Emma could keep her entire life. I drove to Daniel and Vanessa's house on Emma's actual birthday, which fell on a Saturday. I'd called ahead, gotten permission for a brief visit. When I pulled into the driveway carrying the rocking horse, I could hear the sounds of a party. Children laughing, adults talking, music playing, a party I hadn't been invited to. I stood at the front door holding the rocking horse, hearing my granddaughter's birthday party happening without me, and knocked. Vanessa answered, dressed in an expensive outfit, makeup perfect, champagne glass in hand. "Linda, what are you doing here?" I called. "You said I could visit today to give Emma her birthday present." "Oh, right. I forgot. We're kind of in the middle of her party right now. Can you come back another time?" Through the doorway, I could see Emma in a party dress, surrounded by other children and grandparents, who were apparently welcome at the celebration I wasn't. I could see Vanessa's parents, her sister, other family members I'd met at the wedding. "I'd like to give her the present and wish her happy birthday," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Vanessa glanced back at the party, then at me, then at the rocking horse. Her eyes assessed its value. Probably $200 worth of materials and refinishing, maybe $400 if purchased new. "Not enough. Linda, we need to talk. This isn't working." "What isn't working?" "This dynamic. You showing up with handmade gifts, expecting access, treating our family time like it's something you're entitled to. Daniel and I have discussed this, and we need to establish clearer boundaries." Clearer than requiring permission to visit? Much clearer. She stepped onto the porch and pulled the door mostly closed behind her so the party guests couldn't hear. "Here's what we've decided. You can visit once a year, maybe twice if we're feeling generous, but only if you bring $5,000 each time. Think of it as an admission fee to see your granddaughter." The words hung in the air like pollution. An admission fee. To see my own granddaughter. $5,000 per visit. You're joking. I'm not. Linda, let's be honest. You've been getting a lot from this relationship. Time with Emma, the satisfaction of being a grandmother, the social status that comes with having grandchildren. But what have we gotten? Some babysitting years ago that honestly wasn't up to our standards. Some handmade gifts that Emma will outgrow. And a lot of demands on our time. If you want to be part of Emma's life going forward, you need to contribute in meaningful ways. $5,000 per visit is actually quite reasonable considering what you're getting in return. Behind me, I heard Daniel's voice. Vanessa, what's going on? Just setting some expectations with your mother. Daniel came to the door. Mom, what are you doing here? I came for Emma's birthday. I called ahead. Your wife is telling me I can only see my granddaughter if I pay $5,000 per visit. I waited for him to look shocked, to defend me, to tell Vanessa she was being insane. Instead, he looked uncomfortable and said, Mom, we did talk about needing you to contribute more if you want more access. Access? She's my granddaughter, Daniel. Your daughter, not a country club membership. You're being dramatic, Vanessa said. Plenty of grandparents provide financial support to their children's families. We're just being more explicit about the arrangement. You get time with Emma. We get financial support that helps us provide Emma with the life she deserves. Everyone wins. Except I've already given you over $90,000 in money and childcare over 4 years. And we appreciate that, Daniel said in a tone that suggested he didn't. But that was then. This is now. We have new expenses, new needs. If you want to be part of Emma's life going forward, you need to continue contributing. From inside, I heard Emma's voice. Daddy, where's Grandma? You said Grandma was coming. Something inside me broke. Not broke like shattered. Broke like a spell lifting. Like fog clearing. Like waking up from a nightmare and realizing it's over. No, I said. No? Vanessa's eyebrows shot up like I'd spoken a foreign language. No, I'm not paying $5,000 to see my granddaughter. I'm not paying anything anymore. For 4 years, I've given you everything you asked for. Money, time, labor, love. And it's never been enough. You always want more. Well, I don't have more. I'm done. Mom, don't be hasty. Daniel started. I'm not being hasty. I'm being 4 years too late. You've turned your mother into an ATM and your daughter into a product you're selling to the highest bidder. I won't participate in that anymore. I set the rocking horse down on the porch. This is for Emma. Tell her Grandma loves her. But I won't be back. I walked to my car with Vanessa calling after me. Linda, you're really going to abandon your granddaughter over money? What kind of grandmother does that? The kind who finally understands she's being exploited, I thought, but didn't say. I drove home, walked into my house and sat at my kitchen table in silence for an hour, processing what had just happened. Then I did something I should have done years ago. I called my friend Janet, who'd been through something similar with her daughter-in-law. Janet, I need advice. And maybe wine. She came over with both advice and wine. I told her everything. The 4 years of financial requests, the $73,300 I'd given them, the free childcare, and finally, the $5,000 admission fee to see my granddaughter. Janet listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, Linda, what Vanessa is doing is called financial elder abuse, and what Daniel is doing by enabling it is just as bad. You know what you need to do, right? What? Cut them off completely. No more money, no more favors, no more access to you until they learn to treat you like a person instead of a piggy bank. But Emma is 3 years old. She won't understand or remember this estrangement. But she will understand and remember if you teach her that grandmothers can be bought and sold like commodities. Is that what you want to teach her? I didn't. I wanted to teach her that love has boundaries, that family means respect, that people aren't products. But to teach her that, I first had to learn it myself. The next morning, I called my bank. I need to remove myself as co-signer from an auto loan. The bank informed me that I couldn't simply remove myself, but I could refinance the car into Daniel's name only if he qualified. I told them to contact Daniel and see if he wanted to refinance or have the car repossessed. His choice. I called the life insurance company and changed my beneficiary from Daniel to a charity that supported widows and single mothers. If Daniel wasn't going to respect what his father's death had given him, he didn't deserve to benefit from it further. I called my lawyer, Monica, who I'd used when Tom died. Monica, I need to update my will and discuss my options regarding financial exploitation by my son and daughter-in-law. Monica had me come in that afternoon. I brought all my records, every check, every bank transfer, every text message requesting money. She reviewed it with growing anger. Linda, they've taken $7,300 from you over 4 years, not counting the childcare you provided. In our state, financial exploitation of the elderly is a crime if there's evidence of manipulation or coercion. Do you feel you were manipulated? I feel like they used my love for Emma as leverage to extract money from me. Does that count? It absolutely counts. We can send a cease and desist letter demanding they stop contacting you for money. We can also send a demand letter asking for repayment of the funds you've given them, though realistically, recovering money already spent is difficult. But it puts them on notice that their behavior has legal consequences. Do it. Monica drafted the letters that week. The cease and desist was straightforward. Daniel and Vanessa were prohibited from contacting me for money or favors, and any violations would be reported to law enforcement. The demand letter itemized the $73,300 I'd given them and requested repayment within 90 days. The letters were delivered by certified mail. The response was immediate and volcanic. Daniel called me 17 times in 2 hours. I didn't answer. He left voicemails ranging from confused, "Mom, what's going on?" to angry, "You're really going to sue your own son?" to manipulative, "Emma keeps asking for you. You're breaking her heart." Vanessa sent texts that started manipulative. "Linda, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Let's talk this through." And quickly turned vicious. "You're a selfish bitch. We'll make sure Emma knows you chose money over her." I blocked both their numbers and their social media accounts. What I didn't block was my sister Paula, who lived in the same city as Daniel and Vanessa. Paula called me 3 days after the letters were delivered. "Linda, Daniel showed up at my house. He's freaking out about the demand letter. He says you're trying to ruin his life. I'm trying to protect what's left of my retirement from his life. He says they can't come up with $73,000. They'll have to declare bankruptcy. Then they'll declare bankruptcy. That's what happens when you spend money you can't afford to pay back. Linda, he's your son. And I'm his mother, not his personal loan officer. For 4 years, I gave him everything he asked for. It was never enough. Now I'm done, and he's mad because his ATM shut down. That's not my problem anymore." Paula was quiet for a moment. "You know what? Good for you. I've been watching this happen for years and biting my tongue. Vanessa is toxic, and Daniel lets her run the show. Maybe this will wake him up." Maybe. But I wasn't holding my breath. The 90 days came and went with no payment. I hadn't expected one, but Monica had prepared me for the next step. "Linda, they've ignored the demand letter. We can file a civil suit for the return of the funds. But I need to be honest. It's expensive, time-consuming, and success isn't guaranteed since you gave them money voluntarily without written loan agreements. My professional opinion? Let it go. Consider the $73,300 an expensive lesson learned and focus on protecting your remaining assets." She was right. Chasing money they didn't have would just cost me more money I couldn't afford to lose. Instead, I focused on rebuilding my life. I sold the co-signed car back to the dealership at a loss, paying off the remaining $18,000 loan myself to get my name off it. It hurt, but it was worth it to be free of any financial entanglement with them. I joined a support group for grandparents who'd been alienated from their grandchildren. The group met monthly at a community center, and the stories I heard were heartbreaking and validating. I wasn't alone. This was happening to grandparents everywhere. Adult children weaponizing grandchildren to extract money, time and resources from elderly parents who were desperate to maintain family connections. One woman, Carol, who was 72, had been told by her daughter that she could only see her grandchildren if she provided $10,000 per year in family support contributions. Another woman, Susan, 69, had given her son $120,000 over 8 years before he cut off contact completely because she refused to give him more. These women understood what my other friends, the ones with healthy family relationships, couldn't. That sometimes the people who are supposed to love you are the ones who hurt you most. 6 months after I'd walked away, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Daniel standing alone on my porch. No Vanessa. No Emma. Just my son, looking tired and defeated. I debated not answering. But curiosity won. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. Hi, Mom? Daniel? Can we talk? About what? About everything. About how things got so messed up. About how I let Vanessa control everything and didn't stand up for you. About how I'm sorry. Sorry. The word I'd waited months to hear. But words were cheap. Daniel had proven that over 4 years of broken promises to pay me back. What do you want, Daniel? I want to fix this. Vanessa and I are in counseling. She's working on her issues with money and control. I'm working on my issues with boundaries and people-pleasing. We both recognize we treated you terribly. And Emma? She asks about you all the time. She still plays with the rocking horse you left. She tells everyone her grandma Linda made it for her. The image of Emma on the rocking horse I'd refinished with love made my chest tight. But I held firm. Daniel, I'm glad you're in counseling. I'm glad you're recognizing the problems. But recognition isn't the same as change. And I'm not coming back into your life just to be exploited again. We're not asking for money, Mom. I promise. We just want you to be part of Emma's life again. The last time Vanessa spoke to me, she said I could see Emma if I paid $5,000 per visit. Has that policy changed? He looked at his shoes. Vanessa was wrong. She knows that now. She's willing to apologize. I don't want her apology. I want to know that if I let you back into my life, you won't start requesting money again the moment things get tight. Can you promise me that? He couldn't. I could see it in his face. He wanted to promise, but he couldn't. Because Vanessa was still there. Still influencing him. Still seeing me as a resource rather than a person. I didn't think so. Daniel, I love you. I always will. But I can't have a relationship with you that's based on financial transactions. When you're ready to have a relationship with me that's based on mutual respect and love without strings attached, call me. Until then, I need you to leave me alone. Mom? Goodbye, Daniel. I closed the door. I heard him stand there for a moment, then walk away. I didn't cry. I'd done my crying months ago. Now I just felt resolved. A year after the birthday party confrontation, I got an email from Vanessa. Not Daniel, Vanessa. Linda, it read. I owe you an apology. Our marriage counselor has helped me see how manipulative and toxic my behavior toward you was. I used Emma as leverage to extract money from you, and that was wrong. I've been diagnosed with a personality disorder that makes me see relationships as transactional, and I'm working on it in therapy. I'm not asking you to forgive me or to come back into our lives. I just wanted you to know that I see now what I did, and I'm ashamed. Vanessa. I read the email 3 times. Part of me wanted to believe she'd genuinely changed, but I'd been burned too many times to trust easily. I wrote back, Vanessa, I appreciate your email and your recognition of how you treated me. I hope therapy helps you become a better person and a better mother. But I need you to understand something. You didn't just manipulate me financially. You put a price tag on my relationship with my granddaughter. You made love conditional on payment. That's not something I can easily forget or forgive. If you truly want to make amends, show changed behavior over time. Don't ask anything of me. Don't expect anything from me. Just be better. That's all I ask. I sent the email and felt a sense of closure I hadn't expected. 18 months after walking away, I was at the grocery store when I saw Emma. She was with Daniel, no Vanessa in sight. Emma had grown. She was almost 5 now, tall and beautiful with her father's eyes. She saw me before I could escape down another aisle. Grandma Linda! She ran toward me with the unself-conscious joy of childhood. I knelt down and caught her in a hug that felt like coming home. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and childhood innocence. I missed you so much, Grandma. Where did you go? I've been here, sweetheart. I've been here the whole time. Daniel approached, pushing a cart. Mom. Hi. Hi, Daniel. Emma was chattering about kindergarten, about her friends, about the rocking horse that was her favorite toy. Daniel and I watched her, both of us knowing that this chance encounter had created a moment neither of us had engineered. She misses you, Daniel said quietly. We all do. I miss her too. But missing each other isn't enough, Daniel. Not if the relationship is still built on exploitation. It's not. Vanessa and I have done a lot of work. We're in a better place financially. We sold the expensive car, downsized our apartment, got serious about budgeting. We're not drowning anymore. And more importantly, we understand now that family isn't a transaction, that you're my mother, not my bank account. Actions, Daniel, not words. I've heard words before, I know, which is why I'm not asking for anything. I'm just telling you that if you ever want to be part of Emma's life again, the door is open. No conditions, no admission fees, just family. I looked at Emma, who was showing me a drawing from her backpack. This is you, Grandma. I drew you. It was a stick figure with gray hair and a big smile, labeled Grandma Linda in kindergarten handwriting. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Could I trust Daniel and Vanessa again? Could I risk re-entering their lives and potentially getting hurt again? Or was protecting myself worth missing Emma's childhood? I didn't have an answer that day. But I took Daniel's phone number and promised to think about it. I'm 69 now, 2 years after the $5,000 admission fee conversation that ended my relationship with my son's family. I've rebuilt my savings to about $82,000. Not what it was before 4 years of supporting Daniel and Vanessa, but enough to live on comfortably with my pension and Social Security. I see Emma occasionally now. Once every couple of months, Daniel brings her to a park where we meet for an hour or two. Vanessa doesn't come, which is probably better for everyone. Emma and I feed ducks, play on swings, and catch up on her life. She doesn't understand why I don't come to her house or why she doesn't come to mine. Daniel tells her, Grandma and Mommy need space, which is probably as good an explanation as a 5-year-old needs. It's not the relationship I wanted with my granddaughter, but it's a relationship I can have without compromising my self-respect, and that matters. Daniel hasn't asked me for money once in 2 years. Maybe he's truly changed. Maybe he's just learned I won't give it. Either way, the result is the same. A relationship based on something other than transactions. I think about those 4 years often. The $73,300 I gave them, the hours of childcare, the sacrifices I made while they spent frivolously. I'll never get that money back, but I got something more valuable. The knowledge that I'm worth more than what I can provide, that love shouldn't cost everything, and that walking away from exploitation isn't abandonment, it's self-preservation. My name is Linda Morrison. I'm 69 years old, and I have learned that the people who put a price on loving you don't actually love you at all. That being a good mother doesn't mean being a limitless wallet. That grandchildren are precious, but not precious enough to sacrifice your dignity for, and that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to say, no and mean it. If you're a grandparent being financially exploited by adult children who use your grandchildren as leverage, please know, you're not alone. You're not wrong to set boundaries. You're not selfish for protecting your retirement. And you're not abandoning your grandchildren by refusing to be exploited. You're teaching them a lesson they need to learn. That love isn't for sale and neither are you. What would you have done in my situation? Have you experienced similar financial exploitation from family members? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help someone else feel less alone. Please like and subscribe for more stories about setting boundaries with family and protecting yourself from financial abuse. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need them most. Remember, you are not an ATM. You are not a resource to be extracted. You are a person with worth, dignity, and the right to be loved without paying for it. With hard-won wisdom and peace, Linda.